is February, which means you either just applied for universities, are looking to apply for clearance, or you're looking into universities to apply to next year. Or you might also be actually applying for universities for the later term. Anyway, it is around the time where a lot of university decisions start to happen. And I probably should have filmed it a month ago before the UCAS deadline because most of you already chose universities. But we don't talk about that. So today I'm here to tell you about Edgehill University and why I went to Edgehill University and what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. And I'll just give you all the tea. If you're new here, you probably don't know much about me, so let me just introduce myself first. I am JoJo, and I moved to UK over 3 years now. I moved here to study musical theatre at Edgehill University. It was a huge dream of mine to study musical theatre in UK. Now I've graduated and I'm really sad about it, but that's not the topic of this video. Let's actually focus on Edgehill today. Obviously, as an international student, my choices of universities were a bit different because I also have a bit different rules. I couldn't get maintenance loans, so I had to survive for my own living. I had to find a place that was either providing me some sort of funding or that was cheap enough for me to exist in. And another thing was the fact about my English language. Most of the universities expected me to do a certificate, but I couldn't really do it during high school because my high school would take me like 45 hours of just classes plus all the extra stuff. Like, I didn't have the time to focus on doing an IELTS, so I just had my finals. And I had to find a university that would take me in without an IELTS and just with my finals. Now, if you want to get more information about being an international student, let me know. I will make a very comprehensive video about it for you. I do have very old video about being an international student already, so I'm gonna link it somewhere here. I'm gonna start with the things that I liked about Edgehill, and here I have to just say I loved Edgehill. Maybe I'm a bit biased because I actually really like this university, so I can't really provide you with many cons about it, but I think that's also a good sign. Maybe I have a different point of view. I know that not everybody will like it and everybody has different kind of things they like, which I will explain a bit later, but I really liked that place and I will recommend it to anyone at any time. The first thing I really liked about Edgehill, which is something everybody says, is the campus. The campus is amazing. It's so beautiful. It's kind of a combination of like traditional English architecture and really modern buildings. Like, for example, you will have main halls that are like really traditional and the whole entrance, and it's just like really grand and so beautiful. And then you have places like Creative Edge and Art Center and the Tech Hub and the hub itself that are really modern. I do have a campus tour as well, so if you would like to watch it, again, linked somewhere around here. But one thing I have to say is that Edgehill is changing right now. Actually, since I graduated, and it's only been 6 months, a lot of things changed already. And one of those things is the fact that my first year accommodation doesn't exist anymore, and I was the last one to live in 14 Ellen of Rathbone, which I will take huge pride in. And whoever knows what Backholes is, I don't want to hear any complaining about Backholes in the comments because I love this accommodation. This accommodation was the reason I was able to come to this uni, but it doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. And the student union, they're building a new, very modern building for student union, and there's going to be new accommodation and I think some biosciences things I don't actually know. But that means the university is growing. And that's another thing I really liked about this university. You can tell that this university just keeps on growing. It doesn't stop. One more thing that I like about Edgehill campus is the fact that it's a separate campus. That was really important to me. I really wanted to live that romanticized movie life with having that specific campus. I really find it just so inspiring walking around the campus with a cup of coffee in my backpack and just going to the library. Oh, that was something I was saying before I went there. I was like, I can't wait to do this, and then I went there and I did it. The big important thing about Edgehill is that it is in a small town. Ormskirk is tiny. If you don't know where Ormskirk is, it is northwest of England. It's about, I want to say, 40 minutes on the train from Liverpool. Even though it's pretty close to Liverpool, it's not really scouts because I think because there's a university there, like there is just so many different people from different places, so that place doesn't really feel that scouse. But it is a really small town. I was really stressed about it before going there because I am a city person. I love a city. I love when things are happening. I love when there's a lot to do. And I was really stressing about going into a small town university. But then I fell in love with it. Can you just tell I really like this university? Like, you can see how passionate I am talking about it. Now, with the fact that it is a small town, there comes a lot of good things about it, actually. The first thing is the fact that everything is close. Like, you can walk through the whole town within maximum 40 minutes. If you go from like the furthest point, which is about where the campus is, or like some accommodation behind the campus, all the way to where my accommodation was, which was on the totally other side of town, it's about 40 minutes walk, which means that whatever you want to do, wherever you want to go, everything is close. You don't need a car. Well, you can have a car, but you honestly don't even need it. You don't need to take taxis, and there's also a free bus that takes you from town to campus. Honestly, it's free. You don't pay any money to take the bus. The bus takes you to campus in 2 minutes. And even if you don't take the bus, it's 15-minute walk. So honestly, everything is close, and that also means your friends are close. Now that I moved to Manchester, I was kind of comparing it with Manchester Uni. Obviously, I didn't go to Manchester Uni, so I can't really speak about that one. But one thing that I thought was the fact that in here, if you want to hang out with your friends, you usually have to take a bus because everyone lives so apart from each other, or take a taxi and you have to pay for it, and then you have to worry that you don't have money to pay for it and you can't see your friends. In Ormskirk, whenever you want to see your friends, you just message them like, yo, you want to hang out? And they're like, yeah. You walk there in about maybe 10 minutes. Bear in mind, I lived in accommodation that everyone said was far away, and I still had like 10 to 20 minutes walk over to other people. Sometimes you could even have to. Sometimes you will just live next to those people. So you literally can just hang out with no problem, and you don't have to worry about getting home late, and going alone at night. Which brings me to another point why it's nice to be in a small town, is the fact that you feel so much safer walking alone at night. Now, I try not to walk alone at night too much, but I did work night shifts, which meant that sometimes I kind of had to, because there wasn't always a chance for someone to walk with me. Sorry, Mom, don't listen to it. Don't listen to this part, but I'm okay. I survived. I'm safe. No, but actually, I did sometimes have to walk alone at night, or even if it's not at night, just late evening when it was dark already, especially over winter walking back from uni. And I felt perfectly fine and safe. Now, don't get me wrong, because there are things happening everywhere. You always have to try and keep yourself as safe as possible. I'm not saying that there is no danger in there, because danger can happen anywhere at any time. But I did definitely feel way more safe walking around Ormskirk than anywhere else. And I feel the fact that it was a small town, that also gave me that kind of comfort, because walking around a city at night alone really stresses me out, but walking around Ormskirk was fine. And lastly, about the small town thing, it's the fact that you kind of know everyone. That is my favorite thing about Ormskirk, is that you kind of just know everyone everywhere around. I mean, obviously you don't know everyone because it's really hard, there's still a lot of students there. But it's just the fact that wherever you go, your friends might work there, or you make friends with people that work there, and it was just such a nice feeling of this little community, and it was also helping with a lot of social anxiety. For example, going to a nightclub in Ormskirk. There is one nightclub in Ormskirk. I mean, there's more pubs, and also there's student union that I'm just not counting into it. I'm saying about Ormskirk itself. I would only call Alpine an actual club out there. Controversial, I know, it's gonna happen in the comments. But the fact is that every time I would go there, I know security guys, I know bartenders, I know the DJ, like, it just felt like going to like my place, and you just go in and you just say hi to everyone like you're friends, which also made me feel safer, because if there was anything going to happen in there, I knew that they have an eye on me, that I knew that I can come up to them and they will help me no matter what. I felt really safe out there, and it was about the same thing about every possible pub, because in every possible pub I would probably have at least one person I know that works there. So that makes you feel way more comfortable. And it just creates that very romanticized idea of just having like your little place in the world. The next point is getting a job in Ormskirk. Now, I know not everyone gets a job being a student because you have maintenance loans. I had to. I didn't get a maintenance loan. And even if you do, you might still want to decide to make some extra money on the side. Now the thing about Ormskirk is that it's actually pretty easy to get a job as a student. I know it seems like there isn't much opportunity because it's a small town, there is not many places, but actually I like to say that the population of Ormskirk is just two sides. It's either students or retired old people. So most of the places want to hire students. Most of those places is like being a bartender, a waitress, waiter, fast food places and retail, so those are like casual jobs, but they are perfect and nicely flexible. That's another thing, they are really flexible with their schedule because they know you're a student. That is actually a huge advantage. I worked there in McDonald's and in Aldi, and I know people that worked all over the town. Honestly, it wasn't really a problem getting a job. Not to mention that if you don't find a job in Ormskirk, you can also take a train and just commute to Liverpool. Liverpool is just 40 minutes away on the train, which is my another point for why it's so nice, because if you're not even a fan of a small town or you would still like to have some sort of connection to the city, it's not that far away, it's just one train. Another thing about Ormskirk and Edgehill is all of the events that are happening. Even though it's a small town, there's actually a lot happening if you're a student. Besides the fact that there's all of those pubs and they have, you know, specific nights, they have indie night, they have karaoke's, you know, all sorts of things. Now there's also an arcade because Lion Tiger now expanded into an arcade as well, which is pretty cool if you think about it. There's also a lot of events at Edgehill. Again, I don't know how it's changed, and it also depends on who is running the student union at the year. But when I was a student there, first of all, there would be like film Fridays where you could go watch a movie for free. Most of the theatre things that were happening in the roads were also free for students. And then especially in first year, because that's when I lived on campus, I don't really remember second or third year, I was too busy then. But in first year we had a day to get like free barbecue and free ice cream, and there was also a free outdoor cinema, just a lot of different activities over summer, which was also super cool. And another thing is activities you can do with the societies. Societies at Edgehill are actually so good. I've been a part of a few societies and all of them, it was just so much fun. Every society has a social every Wednesday. When I say every society, I mean majority, like obviously not every society because some societies work in a different way. But there are socials every Wednesday, and there is also a social organized through SU, so even if you're not a part of society, you can still just go to the social, which is the SU social. Most of those socials are like themed, so you get to dress up, and that is one of my favorite things, was walking around this little town on Wednesday and everyone's just walking around in different costumes. Like, I feel like obviously it still happens in the big city, but in here it kind of blends in with like regular citizens, where like in Ormskirk it's just like the students are the regular citizens. And speaking of societies, there is a lot to choose from. You can literally find societies about everything you could be interested in. I was a part of Musical Theatre Society Upstage, Acting Society The Core, and Choir The Vocal Edge. You also get to choose about like the level of commitment. So for example, if you go to the Acting or Musical Theatre Society, there is a lot of commitment because they're actually putting on shows, which is also pretty cool. Like, even if you're not a musical theatre or any sort of arts students, you can just join those societies and you can perform with them. How cool is that? For example, choir, I know they used to perform as well. They did a few performances. When I was there in third year, it was more just chill vibes, just show up and do some singing, and it really worked for me because in third year I was really busy, so I couldn't really commit to another project. But being in that kind of society with great people and just to come in and just do some singing with a whole group of like-minded friends, it was real fun. Another thing I really liked about Edgehill University, and that is just a regular thing I like about universities, is that you get the variety of courses. Obviously, if you are in arts industry and you want to study like theatre and media, if you go to an actual theatre school, you kind of just connect with people with the same interest. And I'm not saying it's a wrong thing, it's a great thing. But in this university, you get a whole range of different courses and you get to meet those people and you get to learn from everyone. Honestly, that was amazing, being in halls in first year, where it was like 40 of us living in a building, but most of us were basically studying different things. You get to learn about those people, you get to learn about their interests and the things they're studying. I feel like that is pretty exciting. And you also still get to connect with those people of your industry, and if you want to do any projects with them, most of the people will be actually really keen on doing that because everyone wants to gain experience. Since Ormskirk is a small town, it also meant that most of the places out there are independent businesses. If you're really interested to supporting independent businesses, there was quite a few around, and I feel like that's really cool. There was this vintage shop called ASAP, there was this lifestyle place called Bloom and Brew. I really like that place, I love it. And most of the cafes are also independent places. Basically most of the places are just independent businesses, so if you wanted to support independent businesses in 2024, go to Edgehill. And my last favorite thing about Ormskirk and Edgehill, it was the greenery. Ormskirk is such a green place, and also the campus. The campus actually won the Green Flag Award for 12 successive years. Like, how crazy is that? And there's loads of places to just sit around in the green space. Coronation Park, there are the fields at the back of the campus with all of the running tracks. A lot of different fields around the campus in general. There is a whole lake on the campus. We even have a small beach, and there is Roughwoods. Oh, I loved Roughwoods. In my first year, if you watch my vlogs, I used to go to Roughwoods every day, sometimes a few times a day, because it is just such a lovely little place. Bear in mind, I am a city person. I'm not really a nature girl. I'm not really spending much time in nature. I'm too scared of insects, but it was just so cool that there was a lot of happening because I was a student. There was all of those events and everything was really fun. But if I wanted to just wind down and get away from people, I could just go into those green spaces. It was just this amazing balance. So if you like to be introverted, if you like to get out in the nature, that is definitely a place for you. Now for the things I didn't like about Edgehill, and that is I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard for me to find things I didn't like about Edgehill. The first thing would probably be the fact that it is a small town. I know, I just said it's a lot of good things about it, but everything has its pros and cons. Whatever is a pro for being a small town would be a con for being in a big town, and the other way around as well. So obviously there are some cons about it being a small town as well, which number one was the fact that most of the shops are just in the center of the town. So if you live in like outside of the center like I did, I had to walk at least 10 minutes to the shop, which isn't a lot. Like I sound like I'm super lazy. It isn't a lot. It was uphill though, so that was a bit annoying. But you know, there wasn't like a corner shop to just jump into when I was at home to just get some eggs. If I wanted to go to the shop, I had to actually make a walk into the center of the town. There is a shop on campus if you're living there, but it is a Morrison's, and Morrison's is really expensive, so I wouldn't really use that shop for more than just grabbing a snack on the go, or if you like just need like singular things. Like I still did my shopping in Aldi, I still made that walk into town, which again, there is a bus to take you into town, so you don't really have to worry about carrying all your shopping back. The other thing that was really inconvenient is the train times in Ormskirk. The last train to leave Ormskirk is at I think 11:37 every day. I don't know how it is on Sundays either, and I don't know what is the last train to take you to Ormskirk. But basically, if you were going for a night out in Liverpool, you have to take a taxi back or just stay up until the next train, which is like, I don't know, 5 a.m, 6 a.m, I don't even know, maybe even 7. I would usually just take a taxi, and a taxi was like 30 quid, but if you split it between people, it's not too bad. So that was a bit annoying, because whenever I was flying home as well, if I had a 6 a.m. flight, I either would have to take a taxi all the way to the airport, which was expensive, so I would just take the last train, which was at 11:37, to get to the airport, where I got at like maybe, I don't know, over an hour later, and then I had to sit there the whole night until my flight in the morning. So the train times were kind of annoying when it came to those night times. There isn't any connection to Ormskirk at night, so you need to plan ahead if you're trying to get out of the town. And the last thing about it being a small town that is also not really fun is, as much as you know everyone, you also get to see everyone. That includes people you don't want to see, because you might grow some relationships with other people where like you don't really want to see them around, and it's really hard to get away from them. You will still somehow find them, but it's fine. But if you're at uni, you're over 18, you're all mature, and you can definitely deal with it, okay? And honestly, that's all from the things that I didn't like. Like I said, I really like this place, and maybe I also have a different perspective because I come from abroad, but I really like that place. And even though like not all of my moments were the greatest and I was sometimes struggling, I just love this experience, so I can't complain at Edge Hill. I really like this place, and that is all of the cons I have about it. But I'm excited to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Everyone has a different experience, and I'm excited to get to know your experience as well. I will do a separate video about musical theatre at Edge Hill as well, so if you're interested about that, like this video so I know that you want to see it, and also comment down below any questions. You can comment down below any questions about Edge Hill at all, and I hope it was really useful for you. I remember when I was applying for Edge Hill there wasn't really many videos about it, so this was kind of video I wanted to watch before I applied. It was hard to kind of get an idea of how it is to be a student there, so that's why I am creating this, to show you how life at Edge Hill is and to encourage you to this university, because I really liked it and I think you would too. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you hopefully soon. Bye!